Welcome to Shannon Driver, Vice President of Business Development with Gagliano Mortgage is our special guest today. So let's get started. On 15 with Christine, we talk about all things business growth. But before we dive in, I'm going to let you know where you can find the broadcast. I'll come to you live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. Hit the subscribe button and you won't miss an episode. You know, my goal with 15 with Christine is to introduce you to people that you can learn from to grow your business, grow your career. And I'm looking forward to the conversation today with Shannon Driver from Gagliano Mortgage. Welcome, Shannon.
Hi, Christine. Thank you for having me.
I have been looking forward to this conversation. But before we dive in on where you are today in the mortgage business, I'd like to ask you to share with us what brought you to your current position with Gagliano Mortgage, and tell us a little bit about Gagliano Mortgage and what you guys do here locally.
Okay, awesome. In the fall of 2020, I was doing advertising sales. And so this is a smack dab in the middle of COVID and the pandemic.
Yes.
And advertising sales was really challenging. It was really, really hard to approach businesses and ask them to spend their extra dollars on things that might not be essential at that time, right?
Right.
And so I had to do like a personal pivot and look for other opportunities. And as it so happened, the mortgage industry was having the exact opposite situation. Interest rates were low. It was absolutely booming. And through networking, I knew Andy Gagliano, and I was talking to him just about some marketing strategy and things. And he asked if I would be interested in potentially coming on full time to help him not only grow his business, but also just take care of his current clients. Because it was so busy, he found that he was in the trenches of operations and couldn't do much more than that. But Gagliano Mortgage as a whole has been in business since 1995. We just celebrated 28 years in business in March. Andy Gagliano has been the owner the entire time. And so we've been around Birmingham for a while.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Shannon, because it's great to take a minute to hear about your personal pivot back when COVID hit. I think many of us can think of the pivots that we made, and your pivot to the mortgage industry, which was really almost turned into a historic time in your industry,
right?
With all of the changes that came with the opportunities to either buy a home or sell a home. How would you describe when you started with Andy? What was the vision for growth for the company then in 2020? Paint that picture for us.
Sure. So most of the business that we get for mortgages is directly from realtors.
Yes.
And so if we don't love on them, if we're not top of mind, if we're not making sure that we're taking care of their clients and them, then we're easily forgotten. And so, as I mentioned previously, Andy was kind of stuck behind a desk and he couldn't really be out with the people that were sending the referrals. He's taking care of their clients perfectly. But we really focused on building those strong, solid relationships in what's traditionally a very transactional industry. And so he needed me to go out and do what I enjoy doing, which is basically building professional relationships and nurturing them. I strongly believe that it's easier to keep a current client than it is to find new ones. And so when it comes to finding loans, if you can find people that are constantly working with people that need loans, it's very advantageous to do so. So I think that was the main focus at that time. We were very blessed though that lots of business just came in and it was just very, very busy. So we had to be very reactive during that time because we were just trying to service what actually was given to us. Also with 30 years of experience in this business, we had a lot of current clients come to us during that time, not only for purchases, but also for refinances because the interest rates were so low.
So if we net out some of the differences between 2020 and today, in 2020, you were really in serving demand role because the market was rising, and one of the reasons Andy brought you on was to take care of that. And you were also working on building and nurturing those relationships with realtors that are so critical to the pipeline of business growth for you, right?
Right.
So how could we illustrate what's different today? Because you've gone from serving demand to demand creation.
Yes.
Yet you still work with real estate agents, but
Yes.
how has that changed
It's a great
based
question.
on your environment? Yeah.
So we essentially lost, per se, 50% of our revenue line with no more refinances.
Right.
So most people refinanced during those 2 years of 2020, 2021. Interest
Right.
rates were very, very low. There was lots of opportunity to do that. And then when they rose, that whole side of our business stopped.
Right.
And so suddenly you're having to make up for what was lost, but
Yes.
then at the same time, still do a good job focusing on what's coming in. So it became essentially a purchase business, right? And with purchase business, again, all of those referrals are coming from the real estate agents. So
Yes.
nurturing that became even more important. And
Yes.
during the previous time, we would do little socials for the real estate agents. We would all go to lunch, and we really didn't have the need to add very much value or very much education. We just had to see them. They just had to see us, know that we were there for them. They had the business to give. We were able to do the loans. But then you had to go out and find more real estate agents to partner with so that you could find more purchase business and essentially double that side of the business in order to make up the revenue that was lost from refinances. So one of the things we started doing was lunch and learns, which are very common, but not something you do when the market's very hot. So when you don't,
because people are so busy, right?
Yes. So we really leaned into one of our passions, which is to educate people, both the real estate agent and the borrower, on the mortgage process, on mortgage options that they have, and all the unique things that you can do with a mortgage, because it's not just purchase and refinance. I mean, there's home equity lines of credit. There's lots of different things that you can do within the current home that you have with a mortgage. You can consolidate debt. So there's a lot of opportunity there, but it made more sense to educate agents so that they could educate their clients. Then they feel like they're providing value to their clients and everyone wins. And so we started doing that with them, to kind of show that we appreciate the referrals. And so we could give back to them a little bit too.
Well, can you give us an example of what you've just described in action? And I'd like to kind of give you a framework for it, because I know at Gagliano Mortgage, as a local mortgage company, you have flexibility on programs that maybe some of your large national competitors are not able to bring to the table. Because although the environment has changed, there are still people that need to purchase a home right now for many reasons. Maybe for family reasons. The family's expanding and they absolutely must make a change, or they're moving from one place to the other, or they've sold an investment property and they need to purchase another one. Right. So can you give us some examples of how you have pivoted from that serving demand to creating demand in how you educate and support the real estate agents that you have relationships with, because you're in a unique position to serve their clients and get that transaction accomplished, right?
Sure. So we are a broker. So there's many different types of ways to do a mortgage and different companies that you can go to, and they all have different structures. So with us, we have a handful of wholesale lenders that we go through to do our loans. And they have done an exceptional job of meeting the market where it is, not only here locally, but on a national level. So what we saw with this change was there was really two distinct populations that didn't mind what the interest rate was, right? And that was your first time home buyer and your investor. You do have the people that you spoke of, that the people that have to move, but no longer were we seeing people move because they wanted to, or because they needed that built-in office for, COVID reasons. Now they work from home. And so we started learning more about these products that we hadn't really not needed, but there just wasn't as high of a demand for them before.
Right.
And we started educating the real estate agents on where to find the buyers, not just
Yes.
saying, hey, if you have a client that says they need this, come to us, but hey, here's where you can actually go and find these people. Find who's flipping houses, find who, maybe just graduated from college and just got engaged, and listening for those milestones going on in people's lives so that, okay, these people might be looking for a house and they're in a mortgage and we have the right products for them.
I love hearing that, Shannon, because I hear you talk about helping your real estate partners look for the people that you can uniquely help them serve, right, so that you can close that real estate transaction. And that's that pivot from serving demand to demand creation. Because one of the reasons that I was really looking forward to having you in for this conversation is that your industry, because of the change in interest rates and with the changes that started in March of 2023, with interest rates moving higher and higher, you have been required to pivot in probably a very extreme way compared to some other industries. But other industries are having to pivot as well. Right. Whether they are dealing with the labor market that is, I don't think it's going to loosen up anytime soon. So in order to grow, companies are having to do a better job of retaining and developing the people on their team. Others are still dealing with supply chain issues that significantly impact how they are operating their business day in and day out. But I'd like to ask you to share. I know you do a lot with mindset, and it's something that I see you post a lot about on both Facebook and LinkedIn. How has your mindset served this significant change? Because changing like that is not easy, but I have seen you do it so well. What can you share with those listening?
I think anytime you see a shift in any industry or any market or any situation, there's always that initial shock, we're headed in a different direction now. And me personally, I came in when things were all rainbows and sunshine and mortgages were just flying in left and right, made my job really easy.
Right.
But I think that if you are always looking out for opportunity versus following or feeling pessimistic, if you step back and realize what's being opened up for you, I think that is the biggest opportunity. So what I mean by that is when our refinances went away, yes, we needed to double our purchase business, but we also took a step back to finally take a breath and reevaluate our systems and our processes for real estate agents, but also for borrowers, and to evaluate, did that serve us well when we got really busy? And some of it didn't. And so now we have a more streamlined approach. Now we're focusing more on what our clients need, again, both borrowers and real estate agents, to make sure that we are delivering what we say that we're delivering on the front end, and it's actually happening. And so all that to say, I think if businesses are able to step back and just lean into what you're good at. What makes you a great business. And I think sometimes we get really reactive when we get busy. And so it's nice to take a step back and be proactive on the next steps that are going to move the business forward and make you better at what you do. So I don't feel like these cyclical businesses having a lull is a negative thing. It's just your time to grow again so that you're ready for that next spurt.
Shannon, that's just a great example of your mindset at play. And you are in an industry that is very much influenced by interest rates, but you also know at some point it's going to change. And what I hear from you is you're looking for the opportunity to be ready. Yes. Because, business is a slight edge game. And every time we improve our execution, because I tell my clients this all the time, you improve your sales execution, and it's that slight edge that gets us into the win column. Right. From the not winning column. And I appreciate you taking a few minutes to share not only how you're doing that right now, but how you are preparing for that next shift in your industry. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I'd love to learn more about Shannon and her mindset and how she's focused on growth regardless of the circumstances, definitely look her up on Facebook, look to connect with her on social media, but also if you have a need to purchase a property or look into that option, Shannon has a lot of options that are creative and different. And if you're not talking with Gagliano Mortgage, maybe you should be. Shannon, thanks so much for joining us, and really appreciate you sharing your expertise. And look forward to the next 15 with Christine 2 weeks from today. We'll see you then.